Bill that one pager. Thank you very much for this one pager. House Bill 1049. Representative LaHood, if you'd like to present the bill. Wherever you want to go.
Thank you, Chair Lady Cooper. This is a simple bill. Its purpose is to add 2 positions to the State Long-Term Care Administrators Board. And just a little bit of brief history, this board prior to last year was for nursing home administrators only. House Bill 987 required for the first time assisted living and personal care homes with more than 25 beds for their administrators to be licensed. And so the purpose of this bill is to take the number of board members from 9 to 11. We want to keep it an odd number. The second floor is good with this. And we just want to make sure there's a good broad representation of nursing home administrators, assisted living administrators, and other professionals on this board.
Do I have a motion on the bill? Motion to approve. I have a second.
Second.
Okay, we'll start discussion now. Did somebody's light flipped on? Okay, there's no questions about the bill. Do we have anybody that signed up to speak on the bill or would like to throw in it? 10. Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. So the long-term care facility administrators, the board of long-term care facility administrators. So right now, we don't have any kind of dedicated number that would be assisted living. And of course, assisted living is, absolutely as much part of long-term care as skilled nursing facilities. So this just ensures that you have some representation from all of the different long-term care settings.
Correct. So currently there's 9 members on the board, 3 of which are required to be assisted living or personal care home administrators. And the appointments were made last year, I believe. But just so happens that the 3 that are on there are all represent smaller providers.
Gotcha.
And so by adding 2 members, we're going to get to recommend to the governor an appointment that would represent the larger providers.
Thank you. And again, knowing that there's a lot of assisted living facilities in terms of numbers,
yes,
far more than skilled nursing facilities in the state.
Yeah,
so,
there's over 1,600 licensed, assisted living and personal care homes in the state.
Thank you.
Representative Petrie, which brings up the idea that do we need to go back and rewrite this to have specifics division? I mean, because this is up to the governor, and I mean, I trust our governor, but it could be that we would get we would get long-term care facilities administrators appointed to the board.
There's currently a required makeup of 3 nursing home administrators, 3 assisted living / personal care home administrators, 2 at large, and then 1 healthcare professional with I believe a bachelor's degree or higher.
Right.
And this bill, all it's doing is adding 1 additional assisted living and 1 additional nursing home administrator. And our goal in this is to recommend to the governor someone from the assisted living industry who has worked and still works in a large facility setting.
Okay, I understand that, but what I'm saying is we could be, do you think, I mean, you can recommend that to the governor, but if the governor should have someone else that he has his mind that he wants to put on the board, he could do it. And are you satisfied with the fact that it would be, you could get a large nursing home facility that is also has attached an assisted living facility? Does that bother you?
Not at this time. I could see, I'd see where you're coming from. That's not of large concern to us at this time.
You're comfortable with it? Okay, any other questions? We don't have anybody sign up to speak. Nobody wants to speak on the floor. Okay. All right. We have a motion and a second on the bill. We've heard, is there any other discussion? All right, everyone in favor of the passage of House Bill 1049, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Okay, the ayes have it. Okay, as Representative Choke is here. There we go. All right, didn't see you right next door to me. Okay, we're going to call House Bill 918.
Cool. Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate the opportunity to present House Bill 918, and I'd like to present this as a committee substitute. I delivered, they should be on your desk, the committee subs. We did 2 small changes to the committee sub, and I'll go over that in a moment. But first, what I want to do is talk about the bill and talk about rare diseases. I've got a constituent, a friend, and someone that has a rare disease, Nathan Beck, and he'll be speaking to you guys shortly. And he brought up another patient from rare disease, Beth Noon, who is Beth Wynn, who is a registered nurse.
Wait a minute. Are we working off, since you said you'd made some small
Yes,
changes?
ma'am.
LC 338961S.
That's correct.
Okay, great. Everybody got the right. Okay,
Good. Thank you, ma'am.
you're welcome.
Well, first, let's define rare diseases. Rare diseases are diseases that affect people in the United States that have a population of 200,000 or less. So these rare diseases don't get the attention that they should get. And as a matter of fact, I was talking to someone the other day. There is a company in Tennessee, a pharmaceutical company that's treating one of these rare diseases, and they actually have 4 customers in the state of Georgia. So these diseases are extremely rare. They don't get the attention because of their rarity, and therefore this legislation, which was brought to me by Nathan, would establish a Georgia Rare Disease Advisory Council. And the reason for the advisory council is to bring attention, advocate, and promote research for the cures of the rare diseases, to promote treatment, to promote caregiving, to do all the things that that would help in furthering the prospect of cures. Anyway, and then the council will be made up of 15 members, 5 members appointed by the governor, 5 members appointed by the speaker, and 5 members appointed by the lieutenant governor. One of the stipulations is that all the members of the advisory council are full-time Georgia residents, and that let's go over a few of the other things real quick, like some of the activities of the council will include convene public hearings, make inquiries, solicit comments from the general public, develop policy recommendations to improve patient access to quality rare disease specialists. And by definition, there are not a lot of people out there with specialties in those diseases. They're also to increase, advocate, and evaluate recommendations to implement necessary improvements in Georgia newborn screening, so that way we can catch these rare diseases early, and then to publish an advisory website with a list of existing publicly accessible resources on research, diagnosis, treatment, education, materials for healthcare providers, and so forth. The council will also be able to solicit funds and accept donations to use in that purpose. So, Madam Chair, that's the synopsis of the bill. If there are any before I take questions, I'd actually like to ask Nathan if he could come and speak for a minute or two. He's prepared some statements, and then when he finishes, we can have Ms. Beth come and speak as well.
Okay. That's okay. Nathan, sit. Why don't you sit? No, you rather stand? Okay. Okay. Nathan, you've come from Americas?
Yes, from Americas. I am a constituent of Mike's, and I appreciate him giving me the opportunity to live in Sumter County. I'm honored to have this opportunity to briefly share my story of how I came to rare disease advocacy and why I feel it's vital that we pass HB 918. Since I was a freshman at Georgia Tech, I've had a clock ticking in my head. Since my mother presented symptoms of the VCP gene mutation, I'd grown up knowing that a rare disease existed in my family and that there was a 50% chance that I might get the rare disease as an adult in my 30s to 40s. My mother and aunt are both deceased from the disease, and I have two uncles that possess the VCP gene mutation that was passed down from their mother, my grandmother. Symptoms include muscle wasting, Paget's disease of bone, frontotemporal dementia, ALS, and Parkinson's. A patient can get any combination of symptoms and the disease is fatal. For 10 years, my mother could not walk, feed herself, bathe herself, go to the bathroom by herself, and my dad was her primary care partner. So I know what my future holds, and my advocacy work is for my three boys. I jumped at every career opportunity to advance as quickly as possible. Some might even say I was reckless. I quit a six-figure job, moved my wife and two sons at the time to Boston to attend grad school at MIT, as I knew I might not get another shot. I live every day. My oldest son lived in 6 states by the time he was 9. I did everything I could to advance professionally in the event that I was lucky enough to have the gene mutation. In my late 30s, after feeling weakness in my muscles and receiving my positive gene mutation diagnosis from a researcher in California, I visited the Emory Neuromuscular Center to request a nuclear bone scan. There are no treatments for my disease except for Paget's disease of bone, if detected early enough. During that first appointment, the doctor looked at me and said he had never heard of my disease and that it might all be in my head. My wife and I spent the next 45 minutes educating him about what to expect with VCP gene mutation to not much success. It wasn't until I visited the ALS clinic that I found a doctor familiar with my genetic mutation. I am his only patient with the VCP gene mutation. In rare disease, access to specialty and timely medical care is crucial and can save lives, and most importantly, a lot of unnecessary costs. Because there may be only a few experts in the world, many patients do not receive the care they need. After leading multiple businesses, I'm now on full disability, as we were blessed that I made some wise financial decisions to protect my family. I am still somewhat independent now, but my disease is progressive, so I will continue to lose strength, energy, and the ability to walk and lift things. My wife and children are having to take a larger share of things I feel I should do, like mow the lawn, clean the gutters, get things from the attic. I wish I could still do dad things like teach my boys, how to play basketball. I can't even get the ball up to the rim anymore, or take them camping. I'm blessed with a wonderful family, but my rare disease is a burden to them. Rare disease affects everyone in the family, not just the patient. 1 in 10 people have a rare disease. 50% are pediatric diseases, and only 5% of diseases have a cure or treatment. Rare disease affects many families in Georgia. Others are not so blessed as I've been, and it's vital that we protect and advocate for those affected by rare disease. My wife and I started a rare disease nonprofit in 2018, headquartered in Americas, in order to make life better for other rare disease families. We have funded research, facilitated scientific collaborations, and supported, established a supportive patient community. There are over 7,000 rare diseases, and I can tell you rare disease is complex. I've learned how complex it is only because I'm a patient with a disease. HB 918, which advocates for the creation of a rare disease advisory council, will be one voice that can aid you, the legislators, in making prudent decisions to support and help rare disease patients and care partners in Georgia. Finding a cure and treatment for rare disease is only half the battle. How will it be administered? Most importantly, how will it be paid for? Those are only a few of the important issues that the Rare Disease Advisory Council can help advise the people and representatives of Georgia. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Okay, do we have any questions for the representative?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank you for coming, and I know it's not an easy thing to do, but let me tell you, you have spoken for thousands of Georgians. I have a good friend whose wife has a rare disease, and they have the benefit of having an MD in the family. But most Georgians don't have that. And it's hard to find one, like you mentioned, one who hasn't heard of the gene deficit. I just think this bill, I believe, will make a big difference by being a resource for all the different diseases, not just one, but really representing, 7,000 different diseases that are out there that may only have a handful of experts. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you for the effort, for being here and really speaking on behalf of a lot of Georgians.
Appreciate it. I tell people I made a D in chemistry too at Georgia Tech. This is an evil trick that's been played on me. So any other questions or? Thank you.
Representative Schofield.
Yes, thank you. And again, thank you for being here today as a person that lives with a rare disease as well. I'm honored. I just wanted to say, and I do have a question for the representative Chokas, and I'm glad to know that we are recognizing rare diseases and the need for us to get more attention on this, because Representative Wayne Howard and I put this bill up last year as HR 577. And although it didn't get the attention it deserved or hearing, I'm glad to know with a new bill number and new signers that we're finally recognizing how we can help the 7,000 rare diseases. So thank you for telling your story. And I do have a question for the representative, if he wouldn't mind.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to know I'm just curious, how does this bill differ from the bill we put up, HR 577?
I don't know. I haven't read your bill.
Oh, okay. All right.
Thank you.
Staff might be able to.
Yeah. And now, Madam Chair, if it's all right, Beth Wynn would like to speak to the bill as well. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Cooper and members of the House Health and Human Services Committee. My name is Beth Wynn, and I am the Georgia Rare Action Network State Ambassador for the National Organization for Rare Disorders, or NORD. Thank you so much for the opportunity to testify before your committee in support of creating a Rare Disease Advisory Council in Georgia. There are more than 7,000 currently known rare diseases impacting the lives of more than 25 million Americans and their families. In addition to my role with NORD, I'm the founder of a rare disease nonprofit to advocate for more understanding around my disease. I'm a founder of Rare Strides, all about empowering patients and medical teams to make rare visible in healthcare. It is truly an honor to serve as a leader to advocate for children and adults with rare diseases. My dual journey as a registered nurse and patient with a rare disease called primary syringomyelia opened my eyes to the needs and challenges of the rare community. While seeking support in Georgia in my own journey, I encountered multiple barriers to care, including a lack of access to information and resources relevant to rare diseases. As a result, I live with multiple chronic complications, including pulmonary hypertension and diastolic heart failure. Sadly, my complications could have been prevented with early access to resources and care. Despite 15 years of bedside experience, from onset of symptoms to diagnosis, took more than 5 years. I received my diagnosis out of state from a specialist at Johns Hopkins in Maryland. I'm not alone in my journey, and millions of children and adults with rare diseases face similar challenges worldwide. The Rare Disease Advisory Council will give stakeholders an opportunity to make recommendations to state leaders on critical issues that the rare disease community face. I fully support the establishment of a Rare Disease Advisory Council in Georgia because I truly believe it will strengthen the voice of the rare community and unite stakeholders to work together on positive solutions for children and adults with rare diseases in our state. RDACs are successful because of the diverse membership made up of rare disease and public health experts. In order to further strengthen HB 918, NORD recommends that a representative from the Georgia Department of Public Health and a representative who is a pediatric specialist trained in the care of children with rare diseases be added as members of the council. Several states that have already created RDACs have found that including representation from their Department of Health has provided the lawmakers with valuable insight from the public health perspective, and including a pediatric rare disease specialist adds a critical level of expertise to the council, as rare diseases disproportionately affect children, adolescents, and young adults. These additions will help the RDAC to be successful in addressing the needs of Georgia's rare disease community. I'm a registered nurse, and I can tell you that my journey was extremely difficult. Despite critical care training and all my knowledge, I had no resources available to me for my rare disease. And if I felt lost, my goodness, we have a lot of work to do. Chair Cooper, we thank you. Vice Chair Newton and Representative Chokas for your leadership and sponsorship of HB 918. We hope Georgia will join the 21 other states that have already signed similar legislation into law. And Nathan, thank you.
Beth, thank you very much for coming and testifying. We have added on line 47 of the bill, one pediatric specialist trained in care of children with rare diseases. What was the other recommendation that you said?
The other recommendation is a leader from the representation from the Department of Health. One.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Wait, questions for the presenter? I'm sorry, Beth. I'm sorry. Representative Hogan.
Yes, is MS a rare disease?
I don't think so.
Good question. I can't tell you right off the top whether or not it would fall in the rare disease category. But I could definitely get back to you on that.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I would think that.
Somebody chimed in on the chat.
And what'd they say? Oh, they said, yes, it is a rare disease. There's not more than 200,000 people in the United States that have MS. I mean, I would be surprised. It seems to be much more. Pardon? That's what I thought. Compared to what it is. I would have thought the number it would have kept it from being that. Betsy, could you check something online for me, Representative Chokas? Oh, Beth, we're through. Oh, thank you. I'm
Thank you.
sorry. On line 70, it says state officials. Is that, I mean, just anything would be like if the lieutenant governor decided he wanted to come to a meeting or otherwise it's in reimbursements.
No, that's for social reimbursement.
That's okay. Then that's the reason that it's that way. And Representative Chokas, did you say how other people that are not state employees or would be compensated for their time, since this includes compensation? You want to tell them?
Let me read what it says about compensation in the bill, Madam Chair.
I know what it says.
It says on line 61, Members of the advisory council shall receive no compensation for their services, but shall be allowed actual and necessary expenses in the performance of their duties. Any legislative members of the advisory council shall receive the allowances provided for in Code Section 24-1-8. Citizen members shall receive a daily expense allowance in the amount specified in subsection B, Code Section 45-7-21, as well as the mileage or transportation allowance authorized for state employees. Members who are state officials or state employees shall receive no compensation for their services on the advisory council, but shall be reimbursed for expenses incurred in the performance of their duties as members of the advisory council in the same manner as reimbursements are made in their capacity as state officials or state employees. Funds necessary for the reimbursement of expenses of state officials other than legislative members and state employees shall come from funds appropriated to or otherwise available to their respective departments. And then, not necessarily dealing with compensation, but it does say on line 96, the advisory council may solicit and accept donations, gifts, grants, property, or matching funds from any public or private source for the use by the council in conducting the activities required pursuant to subsection B of this code section. So I'm
Okay,
under,
so this is how how the people who are not legislators or state employees, you're going to raise the funds to compensate them for their
they're
travel and health.
allowed to do that. Yes, ma'am.
Allowed to do it. But Betsy, am I reading it wrong that they will be expected to be reimbursed by for their,
Yeah, they will be. This is a similar setup to councils all across state government, where the citizen members that get paid. I believe they get paid if they're attached to a state agency, probably within that. I would think it would be very de minimis, however, so I don't, yeah.
so it would be paid by the state.
Right, oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay, but they need to be attached to public health or,
Not necessarily, I'd have to look, but again, that's the standard language we have in all of these councils, and I've never heard of a problem.
okay. I'm sure you're going to get asked that question. This makes it over to the Senate side. So be sure and check it out.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Megan, I know we have Megan from Public Health that wants to comment on the bill.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Chairman Cooper and rest of the committee. My name is Megan Andrews. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Policy at DPH. Thank you, Representative Chiokas, for bringing this legislation. There are a couple things that I wanted to make sure was clarified in the committee process. One of them being is this council is administratively attached to a department, but the bill leaves department undefined. So it's not clear if it's going to be Department of Public Health or DCH. As we're both in Title 31. That is, oh, and you know what? I don't have the substitute, so the line might be different than.
Can you get her a copy? Where are the aides? We got it. This is the rare diseases. I think would it be starting on maybe at least we can find it on line 31, 32. Starting there, you may not be exactly.
Yes, it's at line 32, department.
Okay.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that that's clarified. The other piece that I wanted to draw your attention to is with the tasks and responsibilities of the committee. Lines 89 and 90. Evaluate and make recommendations to implement necessary improvements to Georgia's newborn screening programs. The newborn screening program is housed within DPH, and I'm not sure if you recall, but this committee last year passed legislation creating a newborn screening advisory committee. I have a copy of that bill that was signed into law last year if you'd like it, but that's a statutorily required committee that advises the commissioner on conditions to add to our newborn screening program, estimated costs, program improvements, et cetera. So I just want to make sure that the tasks of this council and the tasks of that already existing committee are clear. So the commissioner's not getting conflicting recommendations.
How would you change those two lines? Or do you
Well,
think
I'll
there
let-
shouldn't be anything at all? Sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On line 89 and 90, all it says is they're going to evaluate, make recommendations specifically dealing with rare diseases. It doesn't say they're going to implement them or anything like that. It just says evaluate and make recommendations.
I think the concern is the advisory committee that's already in existence is also tasked with making recommendations to the commissioner. So if hypothetically, if she gets a recommendation from the Rare Disease Council to add a rare disease to the newborn screening panel, and then a conflicting recommendation from this already existing newborn screening advisory committee, what is she to do? And there's also two committees doing the same work. So my only suggestion is to perhaps add language in here referencing the other committee, that they are to work together, or that they can make recommendations to that committee,
Right. But instead of making them to the,
to the state agency or the legislature,
right, that they would make it
to the newborn
to
screening
the
advisory committee.
newborn
Right.
screening advisory council.
Yeah, and Madam Chair, may I continue? On line 74, when it says the purpose of the advisory council shall be to advise the General Assembly and other state agencies and departments as appropriate on the needs of individuals with rare diseases. It would simply be a source of information to the screening program. It would not have the authority to require the screening program to do anything, but
Right.
it would be a source of information. The main impetus of this legislation
Mhm.
is to get the word out.
Right.
There's so few people that know about rare diseases,
Yes.
me being one of them.
No, I agree.
So that's the whole purpose. It's not to implement policy, but recommendation for policy for people that do implement policy.
Well, I mean, Representative Chokas, that's not what it says on line 89. It says to recommendations to implement necessary improvements. Okay.
I have a copy of that bill from last year if you'd like it to see what the responsibilities of that committee are.
Okay.
But I just wanted to draw the committee's attention to this existing
All right,
committee
okay.
to make sure everything's cohesive.
That's fine, Megan. Wait just a minute. Representative Sharper, you got a question for Megan?
No, just a comment. Thank you so much. But we were just talking about the rare diseases and things. But I was doing the research and it says like Congress came up with that in 1983 that could come up with a 200,000 number.
Mm.
But I think with the population shifts and the changes, they probably would need to revisit their definition again because you have a larger population. And then that's probably bring up the number of what considered be, probably a rare disease. But according to NORD, they said that multiple sclerosis would be, but by US, Congress, in a sense, it wouldn't be.
Mhm.
But I just wanted to mention that.
Okay.
It'd be something interesting, the definition itself.
And by the way, Megan, welcome back. I understand there's a new little person at your home.
Yes, I'm a week fresh from maternity leave, so I apologize. I'm playing catch up.
So, and we've missed you while you've been gone. We have a couple of other people by video that would like to, Representative Hutchins,
I just had a question, just as a result of the conversation we just had. Would this committee conflict with the newborn committee? And are we making an unnecessary addition to government?
I don't think it would necessarily conflict. I just want to make sure that the roles are very clearly defined. So they're not stepping on each other's toes.
Right.
And I appreciate adding the Department of Public Health position. I think that's really important because newborn screening's housed under us.
Right.
And it'll probably end up being someone that works on the newborn screening program and also sits on this advisory committee. So I would kind of hope that they would be the liaison between the two. But it's not super clear who's doing what. And I want to avoid any unintended consequences or confusion in the future.
well, I'm going to make the decision as chairman to put this on hold after we let the other people speak. Megan's just gotten back, just been able to talk to me about this. And what we're gonna do, we'll move this bill next Tuesday for you. So it will be moving. And we will just get it clarified so that we get the language so they don't feel like that it conflicts anyway, and put the department on. Is that okay with you, Representative Chokas? So we still have time to move it out. It's still early in the session and we only have what, 2 more days this week? We're off. Okay, so we'll get it clear.
Okay.
And, you know, certainly you had time to finish out your maternity leave before you got back and started helping us with things.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, guys.
Okay. We have Jasmine Bouchard with CHOA wanted to comment on your online. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jasmine Bouchard, representing Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Thank you, Chairman Chokas, for bringing this bill forward. I just wanted to echo the comments that were already made about our request. We do not have an issue with this legislation. We did, however, ask that a pediatric specialist trained in rare diseases be added as a member of the council, and this would just ensure that we have that pediatric representation. We are also okay with DPH's request on that newborn screening language. And with that, I do not have any other comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have a special guest from the National Organization for Rare Disorders, Anissa Reed. Miss Reed?
Hello, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. Have I seen your name before?
I think so. I think we touched base on this legislation and NORD really appreciates the support. I'm just here to provide any answers to technical questions. I've supported several states in the implementation. So we're excited again to say we've seen 21 states sign this legislation into law and see how much it's really supported the rare disease community. So we really, again, thank you for support, and I'm here to answer any additional questions.
Okay, do you have any questions for Ms. Reed? So, well, let me thank you. And if you will send back to other people with your organization that I appreciate having won the statewide National Rare Disease Award recently. And the statue, that's quite an unusual statue, reached me. It's almost like I have not an Emmy, but what do they give it? The statue for the Oscar. You have to see it in my office. So it's in a prominent place. So rare diseases are certainly near and dear to my heart, and anything we can do. And we will make these corrections, and it will be moving out next week for Representative Chokas. So thank you for joining us, and let us know if we can, going forward, can do anything to help you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. So does anybody else on the committee have anything they need to discuss like that? So, all right, then I will declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.